Cold open, words, funny sayings, laugh, words. Okay, we're done. Do you think, like, the country will ever stop being actively on fire?
Maybe once it's all burned. Like, when there's nothing left.
Man, it's not a good time, is it? Every time I watch the news, I get so depressed.
Oh, why do you do that?
I don't know. And it's not just the active fires in California. It's everything. It just makes it on fire. But you know what? That makes me think of something.
What's that?
That'll cheer you up.
Oh, cheer me up?
Yeah. You know, because we're on the topic of fire.
Okay.
Do you want to make sweet love to an active volcano and burn down Pompeii for a second time? Surge! Fuck the burn!
I think that might be the earliest surge.
I thought about just opening it with that, but I don't want to blow everybody's ears out.
You know, if you ever get to the point to, like, if there's ever, like, a visual aspect to this, and we are still doing those, you know those have to be done like old, like, 80 wrestling promo styles.
All of a sudden I just cut to the camera. Yeah. Do you want to?
You're very manic with your movements and over the top. Just
Let me tell you something. Mean Gene.
Everything you're wearing is loud.
Lots of bows and yellows and pinks and hot colors.
Things are cut.
And
Shirts are cut funny.
Muscles are oiled up for no reason. Very tan. I'll be if I get video of me very tan, you'll know something's up. But yeah, if we had an active volcano situation, I wouldn't be too surprised, nor would I even be that worried, honestly.
Yeah, they're just like, hey, you guys hear about the new volcano in Pennsylvania? No, but not surprising at all.
Is it gonna wipe everything out? Yes. Good. Less I gotta do.
Yeah. And we're close to ground zero. Good.
Somehow I live and I have to go to work the next day. I'm like, man, it really sucks delivering shit when the roads are on fire. I hate this.
The only thing that survives is you, your truck, and your dolly.
It's like, God damn it!
You're not even you're delivering trod things of water and like, oh.
This is poop, man. Anybody get a water delivery? Hello? God damn it! This place is stinky. It's all smoky. Let me ask this guy that's completely covered in ash and just poke him and it just disintegrates. Oh, who's gonna pay this bill?
Who's gonna pay me? Why am I doing this?
This is stupid. And they were doing the mash.
What's the mash?
Doing the mash. Oh, boy. Oh, gender unspecific. What is this? Is it Drunken Pen Writing podcast?
I think so. I don't know. Check out the bookmarker. That's how I know.
This is 2 days in a row of recording our third, and this is our third episode. I don't know. Yeah, let me check out this bookmark. Big butt.
No, wrong bookmark.
Wrong bookmark. No. If I'm correct, this is the DPW podcast. I'm your host, Caleb James, I think. Maybe. With me today, Spencer, the Georgetown Ghoul Church. Halloween specific again.
Yes.
I don't know if you've ever been a ghoul before, but you're looking a little ghoulish today under these fluorescent lights that hurt my eyes. I think I got COVID. I think my coworker had COVID. He came in today and he's super sick and he just wants to touch everyone. I'm like, get the fuck away from me, for one. Two, get tested, you asshole, so you can test positive and I can get 2 weeks off of work. You fucking dickhead. It's like, why you gotta be such a greedy dickhead? See, selfish.
See, that's what I don't get about like where I work is like I know that there's people that been on leave because they've had it, but yet
company just sweeps it under the rug and
because you like you said like you know your job
supposed to close down.
Yeah,
like Mindy's job. She had a coworker who got COVID. Mindy got tested. She didn't have it, but she still had to be off for 2 weeks. That's the second time this has happened, I think, right?
Yeah.
Well, they had to close down initially just for COVID. They were closed down for months or something. It was just like, come on, man. I need a vacation. This is what's going to happen because I got the last week of October off.
Okay.
First week I took off in fucking over a year.
Now, when did you request that off?
I don't remember. Not that long ago.
Okay. So in the midst of everything.
Yeah, it was like a month ago or something. But this is what's going to happen to me. I know it. My vacation's going to come up.
You're gonna get sick.
Well, hopefully I don't get sick, but it doesn't matter. Somebody's gonna get sick at work, and they will finally close down for 2 weeks, but it'll be during my vacation, and they'll still dock me my vacation time because I requested off, and I'll just be so mad. That might lead me to murder. And murder kind of brings up our topic of the day.
Murder.
Moida! Gonna do a little stabbing, buddy. It's not really much of a topic. Talking horror tropes. We're fucking barely talking off air about this, but, you have your typical ghost, werewolves, vampires, zombies, that's another one.
Basic monster.
Your collection of monsters. I don't know if tropes
creature.
I don't know if tropes is the specific word, but if you were telling a ghost story, that would be kind of the trope.
Well, I'm sure once we get past the different kinds, we'll go into how those each have their own set of tropes.
Well, and there's sub-tropes and stuff. I don't know if we really have to go into those, because I'm more interested in, is it possible to come up with
anything original?
A new trope, something that would become a trope in the future, or more specifically, a new creature. Because a lot of creatures come from myth and legends, and even because we're reading not Frankenstein, good lord. We're reading Dracula, and we talked about on the last episode, which that's not going to be out for a couple weeks. But we talked about on the last episode how, vampire folklore might have started a long time ago, but it didn't really come about till, the 1800s.
Yeah.
And then Bram Stoker's Dracula really cemented the vampire genre. So what kind of creature could you come up with, do you think, that would be on par with a Dracula, a Frankenstein, maybe a creature of the Black Lagoon? And you think of the Universal monsters, because most of those came from old books. And also, as a sidebar, what other characters do you think are classic like that? The Invisible Man, perhaps?
Yeah.
Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Again, because those, like you said, those all have their sets of tropes that are used, even if it's not the specific character. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, somebody turning into something. Yeah. That's used in other mediums.
I don't know if I could do it, but I think, the werewolf, I think that has probably some room, because I don't, other than being, side things of other popular things of recently, they haven't had, their own, really, spotlight. So, but I think you could probably dive more into that with, having, pack leaders and, multiple werewolves, or,
maybe reinvent the werewolf, or even do, how Stephen King maybe did, a Salem's Lot, because it used to be just, kind of, maybe there were some vampires, but they necessarily weren't grouped together, but then at some point, now you have, vampire clans. What about werewolf clans? Said, a wolf pack. Well, I guess Twilight kind of touched on that, but if you could have, what was it, 30 Days of 30 Nights, a vampire town? What if you had a werewolf town?
Yeah,
And also, why does it have to be a werewolf? That's the trope, but what if it's something else?
Well, let me run this past you real quick, because, I watched that HBO show, True Blood. Mm-hmm. And so they get on, they eventually bring in werewolves, but they're the kind that just turn into, just a wolf. Or whatever,
the
dog.
most boring kind of werewolf.
Yeah. And that's where I got, because they had they would have tribal packs and stuff like that, but they also had other were things. There were were panthers. And but I remember seeing that, and as soon as that came up, I was just that's dumb.
Dumb?
Yeah, I don't know why, but, and it might just because, it's werewolf. It would just be and maybe just because, that show, they would just, every season, there was just new things, and so it's just okay, we have everything, and now we have were-panthers.
See,
were-panthers.
The werewolf genre, I actually don't like the werewolves that turn into wolves.
Yeah, no, I like a hybrid.
I like the Wolf Man.
Yeah.
I like American Werewolf in London. Again, I don't remember because I know he turns into a werewolf, but was he at least he was a big demon wolf looking thing.
Yeah,
I like the hybrids, the Wolf Man, who's still, maybe walks on all fours, but can walk upright.
Yeah.
I don't know, yeah, because other were creatures are kind of stupid.
If you think about it.
Were-giraffe, were-hippo.
Ooh, another one, and you might not necessarily think of horror, but you could definitely go in there if you write it the right way, but Shapeshifter.
Shapeshifter would be a good one. Well, that's a classic one. going back to even things like the pod people.
Yeah.
And, some kind of alien takes you, looks like somebody. But like a shapeshifter, if you did a good shapeshifter story, you could have, somebody really running amok. I'm trying to think, because I know I've seen a couple movies with good shapeshifter characters, but I can't think
Well, one of Stephen King's newer books, and it just got turned into a TV show, The Outsider, kind of deals with that kind of stuff, and it was really good. It was like that mixed in with like a crime drama. It was really good.
Yeah, my sister said that was really good. Before I lose it, what's a character I don't think I've ever really read too much about?
What's that?
That could be a new character that would be, brought popular. Lizard Man.
Okay.
Because, you obviously have Spider-Man. What's his name?
The Lizard.
That's just the Lizard. Doctor. What's his name? I've been talking about his Doctor.
Connors.
Dr. Connors with the one arm. He becomes the Lizard. You could do a horror version of that, I would think.
Oh, yeah.
But I would play real hard into the trope of, the super conspiracy people, that the lizard people live in the earth and stuff like that. Or even like maybe South Park with the crab people. Because obviously that's a joke, but that would be horrifying.
Oh, yeah.
If you had some kind of crab monsters that like sentient crab creatures that lived in the earth.
Well, could you just imagine crabs like people size?
That would be fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
Crabs are kind of scary as it is when you pick them up. Just big ugly crustaceans. Which is pretty much just cockroaches with claws.
Yeah.
And just while we're on that, like the crabs and stuff, that would be horrifying. Because a lot of creatures, the bigger they are, the more scary they are, just because of how hideous. That makes me think of some body horror stuff, more specifically like the brindlefly from The Fly. Like, because Jumping Goldblum. That was a really cool story because, he creates like a teleporter, right?
Yeah.
And a fly gets in with him, fucks his DNA up, and he starts turning into this hideous fly. But just like a giant fly is like, ooh, it's just suddenly way scarier than if it was just a little tiny fly.
Yeah.
So you could do a lot of different creatures like that too, like giant cockroaches. Obviously, spiders have been done. I think that's a genre movie from the 50s that we need to bring back. Giant animals or giant bugs. Yeah, like you used to have the giant spider, giant ant was one. Attack of the Giant Lady.
I mean, even not
50-foot woman or whatever.
Even semi-recently, Anaconda.
Anaconda, yeah. Giant thing. Obviously great white sharks, such as Jaws, have always been popular. Any kind of giant sea monster really works perfectly.
You know what there hasn't been, like, any kind of, like, stories that I've read or, like, a movie is, like, they never try to do anything with, like, the Loch Ness Monster.
No, I'm surprised they never had a movie, at least that I'm aware of, that had like, oh, we're searching for the Loch Ness Monster, and they find it.
Yeah.
Because they did that with Bigfoot. Like, there's a bunch of Sasquatch movies. Bobcat Goldthwait did a great horror Sasquatch movie.
I heard about it, but I didn't watch it,
but I heard it's really good. But you can obviously do that with Loch Ness Monster. And I think since we don't have a definition of what the Loch Ness Monster actually looks like, it could be anything.
No, you just said like a Sasquatch or Bigfoot. Would you throw that within the realms of like a monster? I mean, it probably depends on the story, but for this conversation, everything's probably going to be horror related.
Well, you could do a good horror story with that, and Sasquatch, Abominable Snowman, these kind of things you can amplify the monster aspect. It doesn't have to be a giant ape in the woods. It could be, a man that got transformed. It could be anything. You could do a lot with that story. Cryptozoology, you could just do a lot with any, like, Jersey Devil, the Mothman.
Yeah.
You can make a lot of cool stories out of any of those creatures, so, anybody listening, you can just research some of these and come up with a cool idea and expand upon them. Another one I want to touch on before I lose, this is one from fairy tales that used to be very prolific, and I don't think I've ever seen a modern story really handle this. Giants.
Yeah.
Just like really fucking scary giants or even giant cyclopses.
Yes.
Like you got it in myth and folklore and a lot of fairy tales, but like even I watched that Jack the Giant Slayer movie that was on TV a couple nights ago, but it was I don't know, it was like a couple years old or something. It was entertaining, but again, it's Jack and the Beanstalk. Why don't we do a modern one where somebody goes to like the jungles of North Korea and they're just this fucking giant clan?
Or better yet, somehow it's like a King Kong. Somehow you bring him over and you just got a giant just fucking leaning against like a skyscraper.
Mm-hmm. You also have, if you wanted to go back to the Sasquatch route, well, you got a Bigfoot. Make him really a fucking Bigfoot. Make him a giant. Maybe you find him on an island. That could be cool. You could do...
the Yeti would probably be a better one to do.
Up in a mountain somewhere. Yeah, the Yeti.
Yeah, out in Alaska or, the North Pole somewhere.
As far as more human things, the Invisible Man is one of the most famous ones in the horror genre. Which, I don't remember if the original Visible Man was necessarily horror, but obviously the reinventions, like movies, they always make it horror now. What other kind of powers, since you're a superhero guy, do you think could turn into a cool horror story? Like flying? Because you kind of got that, what was the name? The Brightburn or something? That, it's like it was pretty much like Superman if he was evil.
Yeah, like a kid Superman, but he was just like psychotic.
Yeah. So if you had like some Superman power, such as flying, you could probably make maybe like some fucking guy, he's crazy. Like what if you gave a fucking crazy man flying power and super strength? Then he's going around flying in people's windows.
Oh, just through people.
If you want to go a little more fun route, which just kind of goes with Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, the Hulk.
Yeah.
Obviously a giant green monster would be scary.
Mind reading / control.
That's a good one.
Because you could do a lot of like the story like actually taking place in your character's head and like the battle between like him, and then that's where you could have like you could do like a whole bunch of crazy like because like the setting could be anything because it's a battle in the mindscape, like it could literally be anything,
and you could make that character the good guy through the whole book, and then you find out he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Maybe he was mind controlled and he thinks what he's doing is a good thing, but it could be like that Black Mirror episode where they wear those fucking goggles and they're killing all these monsters, and then it turns out that they're just innocent civilians and the goggles make them look like monsters so the soldiers would kill them. You could do something like that where the guy's reality is so warped that he thinks he's doing good, but whatever mind control, he's actually doing evil things. And then, I mean, if you want to get real crazy, you could do like a lot of demigods type of thing. Because a lot of the gods in like Greek mythology and stuff are just fucking terrible
assholes.
Like Prometheus, I never realized the story of Prometheus was so bad. He saved humans, but because Zeus, just to be a dickhead, made it so fire just wasn't a thing anymore. Yeah. So humans were like, oh, I guess we all die now. And then Prometheus, he did some trickery and got him fire again. And Zeus punished him, which I don't know if Prometheus was Zeus's dad, but he's one of the Titans. So he's from the generation above the Olympians. Fucking chained Prometheus up and had a fucking giant eagle fly every day and eat out his liver.
Yeah.
And then he just would suffer through the day, and then the next day his liver grew back, and it would happen over and over. It's like, fuck you, Zeus.
Well, Zeus was a big dick. Like, he would change into animals and have sex with women, and
he was a big raper for sure.
And like then he was, because wasn't he the one who was worried about the Titans, and so he ate his kids? So
yeah, something like that.
Because there was a prophecy of like his, the kid, one of his sons was gonna like overthrow him. So he was like, "Fuck that noise! I'm just gonna eat him."
Fucking dickhead, eating your own kids. What a jerk!
Like whole.
Yeah, just swallowed them whole. And then they grew into like grown men or something though. I don't remember. I have to look more into that. Anyway, so what other creatures here we got? Bats are a good one too.
Well, I was gonna say do you think we should touch upon because they have their own, horror has their own stereotypes or tropes, but they also vary between the, like, if it's a novel, or if it's like a movie, or like we were joking around, like, oh, one of my favorite horror tropes are the boobies, because, like in the horror movies, but like, you don't ever really, normally get that nude scene randomly in a horror novel.
Yeah, and then in the novels, it's not like virgins having sex and then get murdered by a serial killer.
Yeah.
Like, that usually doesn't happen in the movies, though. That's a trope. Also, the falling down is a big movie trope. Like, you're running away and you fall down. What the fuck are you doing over there?
There's just so much goddamn fucking wood.
Hey, get away from that. Go lay down. Just lay down, buddy. Don't be stomping on the fireplace.
Just relax, bro.
Relax, bro.
I think we're almost done. We'll get in there.
Ooh, here's a story.
Okay.
Your pet dog.
Yes.
Your loyal best friend starts to turn evil.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, eats you or something.
Like, so it's like a premeditated, like, Kojo kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Either it's not rabies, he just after so long of living with you, he just starts hating you.
Or something, I don't know. Maybe that's a bad one. I also like the idea, which here's another, because I want to touch more upon like things that haven't been done, especially in like novel form or story form that much. Cursed body parts.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think there's a movie or a story about a guy's hand gets like cursed and it kills people and he has no control. I would like to read more stories like that.
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead.
He had to cut off his own hand.
Yeah, it was kind of that was a play on that trope. But I think that's something we could bring back.
It's used a lot, but the cursed artifacts or things like
Yeah, kind of goes back to mummies. You don't get a lot of mummy stories anymore.
True. You know what I would like? And it's old enough where you could probably do your own spin on, and you won't have to worry about getting in trouble. But I want a good monkey paw story.
Yeah, like an Evil Wish story.
Yeah,
we could definitely use one of those. That can go with your artifacts too. You find an artifact and get evil wishes. I don't understand. Going back to the mummies, why does it it's always just mummies? Why can't it be something else, like another dead body, or what if you got ancient Celtic burial ground and you accidentally dug up a body and now you got some fucking Celtic curse, because they have some crazy folklore.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
Like leprechauns, you can have either like fucking crazy evil leprechauns you can do, not the awful movies, but no, it's been good.
Because I'm petting him.
There's so many possibilities, yet we keep getting the same fucking stories over and over and over. And I'm tired of vampire stories.
And most of them don't work properly, because it'd be like one thing is like, oh, if these work and that's what makes the things like, oh, well, we just make it because that's what makes the money. But
I'm also sick of, especially movies, using not just like the same things, but really just throwing things in there. So you'll have a movie and it's like, hey, we're gonna throw in zombies, that's gonna be the big selling point. We're gonna throw in a vampire twist, that's the big selling point. It's like, do something else. Why does it always have to be zombie? Like, even if you were gonna go zombies, for instance, make it some kind of other zombie, not the same bumbling, stumbling, brain-eating zombie. Like, do a new zombie. Or if it's a vampire, create a new fucking vampire. It doesn't have to be Bram Stoker's Dracula. It could be a different kind of vampire. Yeah. I wish people would have a little more imagination and just kind of reinvent some of these things.
That just do zombies, do something like Robert Kirkman did with The Walking Dead. He kind of told the ending of every zombie story that there is. You know what I mean? Because he said it multiple times in interviews. He'd growing up, he'd watch zombies and whatever the movie would end, them at the mall or riding off in a chopper somewhere. But he'd be like, well, what happens next? What happens next? And then what happens after that? Well,
I want some more reanimated dead stories. Along the lines of Frankenstein, but like the original Frankenstein where he becomes super intelligent.
Yeah.
And then, maybe, and I mean, if you read the original Frankenstein, it wasn't necessarily like he was evil, he just, circumstances, but if you actually had an evil, like the Reanimator, H.P. Lovecraft's Reanimator did that. You had reanimated corpses, and when they were brought back to life, they were fucking crazy, and they just would eat you or rip you apart, or they were just fucked up. And then the Reanimator movie did a good job of that, where most of the time, the creatures, when they brought back, because they've been dead so long, they were just fucking crazy. But then, the one guy got brought back immediately, so he was an evil. So I want, an intelligent, evil dead thing.
We didn't say that, or that, you just said with them, bringing them back to life, just, not necessarily, bringing back a horde of zombies, but just, like a pet cemetery, just resurrecting a loved one or something like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And just the whole.
Well, that's why Pet Cemetery works so well, is because it was a big twist on the zombie trope, because you're bringing back, and he gave good reasons how they were brought back, a dead loved one, and they came back evil.
See, I don't know if I would even consider that a zombie, Well, at least not
weren't they if their wounds were still kind of gross? They were.
Yeah, kind of.
And didn't the cat its blood wasn't flowing or something?
But they were able to outsmart you and attack you to where zombies are just
It was like a reinvention of zombies. They were smarter zombies.
Because especially like with that, I felt that was more of the spiritual aspect of like the Indian burial ground that played more into, turning the things.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes things are just better dead, or that's not how he says it.
Sometimes dead is better.
Yeah, that's what it is.
God damn it, Spencer. That's a shame. Read all these Stephen King books, and then one time you actually get a chance to throw out the quote, and you butcher it.
Yeah.
And at least you did the voice. So mad that you know what? I don't even want to talk about that fucking shit ass fucking bullshit remake. Fucking hated that. Sorry. Because I saw that in theaters. I was very upset how poorly done that was.
Was that like the last movie you seen?
No, but it was one of them. Fucking assholes. Get so much potential.
Especially because like that guy's a pretty good actor.
Yeah, the cast was good. Just the movie fucking threw in the fucking twist too, and then they put it in the preview. They put the twist in the preview because they changed it. It wasn't the little kid who died. Yeah. It was the older girl, and I was like, okay, that's fine, but don't put it in the make that something because you expect the kid to die. When the girl dies, you're like, oh shit, son. Yeah. No, let's put her in the fucking trailer.
How was John Lithgow?
He was okay, but here's another thing.
He doesn't do the line though, right?
Goose fraba. I think he does do the line. I don't remember because it was shitty. I have no problem with John Lithgow. I wanted the guy because he has the exact same voice as the creepy old guy from the original. I wanted the guy who was in Pet Sematary 2. That was the guard from Shawshank Redemption.
Okay.
With the real deep voice, and he kind of looks like it. Because if you look at him now, he actually kind of looks like the fucking old guy. Yeah. He just should have been the old guy. Yeah. It would have been a cool callback to Pet Sematary 2. Should have did that. Had the voice. He could have said, sometimes dead is better. And you're like, yes, it is. But not John Lithgow's like, sometimes dead's a little better, you know? Sometimes you're dead. That's I don't even remember what John Lithgow sounds like. But he has like a higher voice. He doesn't sound fucking cool. He doesn't sound creepy. Ooh. Fucking bullshit. Fucking cock goblin bullshit. Who made that movie? A dickhead. And the ending was shit. The ending. Fucking bullshit. Ooh. Anyway, as far as Stephen King movies, the It movies weren't too bad. First one I thought was better than the second one.
Yeah. I think what the first one had was the kids, the chemistry with the kids.
Yeah.
I mean, the adult actors, they did a good job too together and stuff like that. But I felt bad during that movie whenever they flashed back to the kids during those couple of scenes because they just fucking stole the movie.
Yeah, it was better. Anyway, back at the topic of hand, because we talked about it. Do you think clowns are an overdone genre at this point? Like evil clowns?
I mean, I kind of I was never really afraid of clowns. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
Because they can look creepy. But, yeah, I mean, that's also coming from a guy who wrote a clown story.
What was your clown story?
Well, it wasn't about, like, a killer clown, but it was about, remember back in the good old days when people were outside and they was just that people were just, like, dressing up as, like, evil clowns and just standing outside and stuff like that? So, like, I wrote like, a flash fiction or maybe, like, a very small short story about this guy who was, like, doing, like, a kid's birthday party at the park.
Oh, yeah, and people thought he was one of those.
Because, like, his car broke down, so he's trying to walk to get some help because, like, the phone was dead or out of range or something like that. And then so these, like, hillbilly guys pull up, think he's one of them, and they just beat the shit out of him. I think they might even murder him, too.
Yeah, I think he definitely got murdered, probably.
That seemed like that was early, so yeah, he probably got murdered.
I feel like you should name that Clown Shoes. I don't know what the name of that was, but...
Clowning around, probably. Because, yeah.
Oh.
That, yeah.
Oh, dude. Really? Clowning around. Puns.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else I would want to see as, like a good horror movie, too. Because everything has been done to death.
What do you consider as good, or what do you look forward to whenever you're either, like, watching, like, a horror movie, or you're reading, like, a horror story? Because, like, I've never been, like, a big fan of, like, the Freddys and the Jasons and stuff like that. Just, like, these, these guys that have, like...
slashers.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I mean, they can be good, and I think maybe one of the reasons that I get a little over them is because, like, they all have, like, 15, in their category, in each title, but, like, do you think, like, that kind of, because, like, I like more of, like, a creepy, kind of disturbing, or, like, a realistic, like, that could be a thing. Like, there could be a person that, is just crazy and stuff, like shooting people off of a tower, or there could be like maybe something like the Mist, like okay, an alternate reality hole might not open up, but something like that. They do a good job of grounding that weirdness in
reality.
To make it believable.
The things I think make for good horror, one,
I got a better way of explaining that, of being scared, you can't see anything,
the unknown,
but there's some bad shit on the other end of that fog, but you can't see it.
That's what builds the tension. The things that I feel make for good horror is, one, unpredictable, like things being unpredictable, or like you don't want the reader to be able to know exactly where the story's going. The problem with a lot of modern fiction is like, oh, that guy's going to be a vampire, and then he's a vampire. Like,
But you also don't want to just do something crazy out of left field, because that also brings it and makes it like, oh wait, that doesn't add up, or that doesn't make sense.
The second thing that makes for good horror is realism. Not just realism in the descriptions or the story, because the story doesn't actually have to be realistic, but you have to feel like, oh, you want the reader to get sucked in and be like, oh, I'm in this horrible world.
Yeah.
Like, this is happening. You think of like maybe like a Hellraiser kind of does that, because even though obviously interdimensional sex demons, like that happening is like, that's ridiculous. That can't happen. But even if you watch the movie or you read the first novel, you could kind of see like, oh, if that was a fucking thing, that would be really horrifying. You open this box and all of a sudden these things come out. That's why like the original Nightmare on Elm Street was so good, is because
besides, you have to sleep.
Yeah, it didn't have all the jokes, and you have to sleep, and that was like something that's like, oh fuck, if I go to sleep, this could happen to me.
I do like a little bit of comedy. Like, you know what I mean?
But that can add to the realism, too, because it makes it more realistic. Like, life does have comedy. Even when horrible things happen, there's funny there's funny moments in life.
But definitely, like, especially with those Freddy movies, especially towards, like, the back half, they get a little
really clownish.
Hand-fisted. But, like, like, just even small things, like, like, a guy's being chased by another guy, and the guy who's running, like, in his ferry, he's not paying attention, and he, like, runs into the wall. It's, just like little things like that are just like, like, there's like those little funny beats that, catch you off guard.
The original Friday the 13th, that was scary because you didn't know who the killer was. They thought, oh, Jason, the ghost of this boy, or, something like that. And then it turns out it was just his mom.
Yeah.
And then the second one, it was like Jason, but it wasn't like the hockey mask wearing Jason now. It was just like some creepy fucking, you didn't know if he was a zombie guy or what, living in the woods, and he was just really ugly. And then the third one, that's when they started to get more zombies, Jason. And as they go on, they become less scary, more about jump scares. Jaws, that's scary because obviously you think of Jaws like, oh, fuck, you go in the ocean, there could be a giant, like, we know there's giant sharks out there. There could be one that's really giant and just eats the fuck out of people.
You know what really put, like, being attacked by a shark in like, because I never, like, very rarely am I ever gonna be in the ocean and whether it be a shark. Obviously it'd be a terrible, horrible thing. I heard, like, because Kevin Smith is like a big Jaws fan, and I heard him talking about like the fear of Jaws, just because like he's not necessarily worried about like getting killed or dying. He just doesn't want to get turned into poop.
Turned into poop?
Yeah, he doesn't want to get turned into shark shit. Like, and I was just like, that's one thing they don't ever bring up whenever, somebody's getting attacked by, like, an animal and gets, like, marred and, like, mostly eaten. It's like, oh, well, that guy's that animal shit now.
I mean, technically, we all turn into something's poop.
Yeah.
Something eats us. Bacteria, something. Here's a thought that you almost touched upon before you went to poop route.
Yeah.
I think another thing that makes Jaws so scary, especially, like, in the scene that really got me when I watched it as a kid, is when the lady was swimming in the dark.
Oh, yeah.
You can't see below you. You can't see what's below you when you're in the ocean, and it's so deep, and it just that always freaked me out. That thought, it's not just Jaws; it could be anything.
Yeah, or just like even just like that fin.
Yeah,
that fin, just like.
Well, even like the original mermaid tales are horrifying because like the mermaid, like we listened to that Myth and Legends podcast. They had the mermaid episode about the Little Mermaid, and even that was kind of horrifying because the bodies. Like, these guys, they get wrecked overboard, they would drown and they would sink to their kingdom, then their kingdom would just be littered with bodies. But like a lot of mermaids are almost like sirens. Like they bring people to their death.
Yeah.
And maybe they're not even doing it for evil reasons. They don't, like mermaids, they don't know humans can't breathe underwater, so they would take you down. So that would be terrifying, a big half fish person.
Well, just, you just said, like, not even just sharks underwater, but anything, but good, like, deep creature. We don't get too much of that recently. I mean, we read the Black, which was, dealt with that kind of stuff, which was kind of cool.
You get touches with it's always like a Cthulhu monster, like Pacific Rim or something. But yeah, you don't get a lot of deep sea monsters anymore.
Because what they say, we know more about space than what we do than the bottom of the ocean, right?
And again, that's a perfect setting for realism because you can pretty much create any creature, and it could be plausible because you don't know what the fuck is at the bottom of the ocean. Space is another one.
Yeah,
there could be a lot of creepy things. Say I always kind of like the landing on another planet. And then it turns out the life form is like some kind of scary monster. They did, I think, a movie about where they landed on the dark side of the moon or something, and there was like fucking creatures. That would be cool. Because again, that just goes with the unknown. If it's an alien, it's a creature we don't know. That's why it's scary.
I never watched it, but there was that one Ryan Reynolds movie when they're like up and out of space and they come in contact with like a bacteria or whatever. Mm-hmm. Because like in space, life forms can take form of like almost like these anything to like a huge alien to the most microscopic thing, like and to just like being taken over by that or like have that thing wreak havoc wherever it's at.
Well, that brings us to two genres we haven't touched on: pandemic genre, which I can't honestly say I've ever read or watched a horror film about like a pandemic that really got me. Even living through COVID now, I'm just like I mean, unless it's like it turns you into like 28 days later, I think. It's like a mad cow disease type of virus that makes you into a crazy zombie. But for the most part, like, Contagion movies don't really do it for me. It's just like, it's horrible, but it happens.
You need to read The Stand.
Shut up, I don't want to.
You have to.
Is it about Contagion?
Yeah, you know what The Stand's about?
I watched the TV series with Barry Pepper a long time ago, and I like him, but I don't remember anything from it.
Well, I think we know why you watched the old TV series.
Because Barry Pepper?
No.
Why?
Because your boy, Bill Fagerbag's in it.
Well, yeah. My man.
Moon, M-O-O-N.
He's great. The other genre... No, now I'm going to forget it, because we fucking talk about stupid contagions. What's the other genre I'm thinking of?
I know, I brought up like sci-fi.
Shut up, Spencer. The Thing.
Okay.
Which goes back to your shape-shifting monsters, but like The Thing, which I didn't realize was, I think, based on like a H.P. Lovecraft story.
Was it? Because I know the movie that everybody likes, like is based off of like a remake of like an older movie.
Yeah, the original Thing. But I think it was kind of, at least partially based off of maybe the Mountains of Madness or something.
Maybe.
It's in Antarctica. But an alien creature comes to it. But like The Thing was such cool because you didn't know who was the Thing.
And you never saw what the Thing was before.
Yeah. And then when you did, it was horrible. Oh, God. Yeah, it's such a fun. And again, the remake. Why? The remake used all practical effects.
Well,
just like
I thought it was a prequel. I didn't think it was a remake.
What the fuck ever. They used practical effects just like the 80s version, and it was real cool. And you know what the studio did? Yeah, fuck that. Make it CGI. Ruined the whole movie.
I never watched it.
Ruined the whole fucking movie. You fucking donkey dick licking. Oh, I hate studio executives. Producers are awful people. Suck fucking balls. Anyway, that's the end of our discussion. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Mad. All right, we'll end
that and Salem's Lot, or not
Pet Sematary.
Pet Cemetery.
We'll end with so what would you most like to see in a horror novel specifically?
What would I like to see?
A character or a creature or like what trope, or we'll use that lightly, just horror thing that maybe has been done but you'd rather see done better or reinvented or something completely original. What would you want to see?
I would, like I said, like at the beginning, like maybe like a reinvented, or if somebody could make a cool take on the werewolf. Just because, like I said, we've I've had Dracula and all that stuff, and then there's Frankenstein and all the other ones. But like I said, I don't think the werewolves have got like a push in a while. Or just even maybe like a good like we didn't even talk about like maybe like a possession or demon kind of story, like, you know, because that's the kind of stuff, you know. The one thing I do hate the most in any kind of horror movie is I hate the goddamn found footage. So you know what? No more found footage.
You're done with the found footage? Cloverfield was found footage.
I know. It's still dumb.
Another Cthulhu movie, right?
Pretty much, kinda.
Yeah, I'm a little done with the Cthulhu monsters. I'm a little conflicted because I would like to see another deep sea creature kind of thing.
Yeah,
but we did read The Black, which was really well done. So I did kind of get a little. That's why I'm conflicted, because I did kind of get a good taste of that. And I'm thinking, well, wonder what indie books or indie authors are writing these kinds of stories that we just don't know about.
Yeah, true.
Obviously, we're talking more about things we'd like to see blow up into, you know, the atmosphere here and get more popular. I would see. I think possession's been done too much now. Ghost stories have been done a lot.
But you know what? And I don't know if you did you ever finish that story? I remember like forever ago, whenever we were first starting this, and one time you needed an idea for a flash fiction, and I told you to write do a possession story, but from the
possessed person's view.
No, from the point of view of the demon.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, I did write that story, but I never put it up. I forgot about that. Yeah, that story was about the demon who was almost like, because, you know, the demon was like infatuated with the girl that he was possessing, and it went through where the more he tried to love her, nobody could see the demon. The more he tried to love her, the more possessed she got, which made her more sick and more demented and more fucked up. I forgot about that. That was a cool angle. That was a good idea he came up with. I don't remember. I think I finished that story. That was a writing exercise we did. It wasn't for the site or anything.
Yeah, well, like I said, that was very early
first
on.
Started, we might
have not even really had the site up and running yet. You know.
Yeah, we were giving each other ideas for writing exercises. That was the one I had, and yeah, that was a cool story. Maybe we kind of visit that again. You never get to see the demon, because obviously, like you said a long time ago, the hero, the villain is the hero of their own journey.
Yeah.
While the demon would think he's in the right. He just loves this girl. He's a fucking demon. What does he know about the human world? Which
the fact that even if he does, he's still a demon. It's like, what would make him? They wouldn't think in the same way as as humans would.
They actually, because I've been watching Death Note, they actually touch on that. The gods of death, one of them falls in love with the human, and they do things like that. But that show's starting to shit.
Which would make sense. Maybe like if you ever go back to it and you extend it or anything, you'd be like, one of the reasons he's doing that is because he's slowly killing her, so then when she can die, and,
maybe
demon boning.
Boning demons. I think the vampire genre could be reinvented into something else,
or just back to normal.
Yeah. I feel like if you're not making things scarier, don't do them. Don't make them. I don't like the romantic vampire aspect.
So when vampire, real quick, what's your obviously sparkly, glittery vampires out the door. Nobody wants that. But where do you fall? Do you like more of the not necessarily in the book that we're reading, Dracula that we're reading, but like in the more of the movie Hollywood sense of Dracula or the Nosferatu kind of monster?
I do like the Nosferatu creepy monster, but I feel that doesn't lend itself to modern times very well. I think for modern time, the better version of the vampire is the elitist vampire who wants pathetic humans, kind of like Blade. The villains in Blade, they were vampires who wanted to exterminate humans and just use them as feed troughs. And
what was that movie with not Kevin Bacon, but the dude from Training Day?
Ethan Hawke,
and I think even Willem Dafoe was in it, and it was vampires took over, and they had blood banks for the vampires to eat off, and all the cars had very dark shaded windows so they could drive around during the day and stuff like that.
I don't remember. All I'm thinking is Lost Boys, and that wasn't either of those guys.
No.
I'm not sure, but it does sound cool. But the there's a lot of things you do with the vampires, with the elitism, or just maybe they just want to be a small group and don't want people. And yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, you could touch upon that.
Because I think you could even do like the not like bursting into flames during the sun thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can still do like a thing or cheat that a little bit. It was just like the whole making them sparkle.
Yeah, it was stupid.
Yeah.
You know what I want? This is my pick.
Okay, give it to me.
And we didn't talk about this. I want, because this goes back to your point.
You want a good Frankenstein?
No, well, I would like a good Frankenstein, but no. This goes back to the point you brought up about realism and how that makes good horror. I would like to see a modern version of kind of like body horror, where it's like the Phantom of the Opera or the Hunchback of Notre Dame or something along those lines, where you have somebody that might have a deformity or some kind of physical ailment, and then they're cast out of society because of that, or they're shunned. And
that had to be like a time period, though. Story.
Well, I thought about that, but it depends where you are in the world. Because we had that guy in Pittsburgh who didn't have a face. I think his name is No Face Charlie, if you folks want to look that up. He was a real guy. Apparently, he was really friendly. But he, when he was a kid, he got his face burned off by an electrical thing.
Oh, wow.
And he just spent his life, he would just walk along the road, and people would stop. And his face was green. And they thought he was like a glowing creature for a long time, but people would fuck with him. And like sometimes they'd make him drink bottles of piss. They'd beat him up just because he looked different. And I think you can, and that was like, the 50s through, I think that guy died in the 80s or 90s. But you can do like a modern, or at least a semi, 70s, 80s if you want to do time period. But you could do that story somewhere, because there's always fucking places where people are just assholes.
Or what would be really interesting if you go and do that, but set it in like a third world country or something, like where there's a lot of poverty. So it'd make it's more plausible to be like how somebody like that would get shunned. Yeah.
And the deformities are more commonplace in those kind of countries too, because of the healthcare and stuff. But I think that's what I would like to see, is something like that, a little more realistic. But maybe he becomes the big bad and does the killing or something. Anything else you want to touch on?
No, I think that's it.
Alrighty. Well, if you folks want to let us know if if there's any tropes or story ideas or anything that you think would be cool, any creatures you'd want to bring back to the forefront of society here.
Yeah, definitely let us know.
Yeah, let us know. You can go to Twitter at Drunk Pen Writing, Facebook and Instagram at Drunken Pen Writing, or go to our fancy website, drunkenpenwriting.com. If you would please be kind, you can also review us on, like the Apple Podcast or Google Podcast or whatever podcast app you use, whatever has a review, a button, anything. We'd really appreciate it. Just send kind words our way, or negative words, whatever you gotta do. We like people yelling at us, and we might shout you out on the air. Thanks for listening, and chill out, babies.
See ya.